All right. Woo, I'm trying the Facebook Live from my athlete page. So I'll give it a few minutes here, see how many people show up. Trying to do a little bit more here on Mary Mac, fitness motivator and writer, than I am on my personal page. So I'm live. Kind of gonna wait, see if anybody shows up. Maybe Cheryl will show up. Boy, I get a lot of glare on my glasses, huh? What? That's Chris. Okay. So, I'm gonna talk about diet myths. I even hate the word diet, but that's okay, right? I just run into a lot of people, being a personal trainer and being in fitness and in health that have a lot of ideas that sound good, or things that they've Googled, or things that they've read about that they adhere to as kind of gospel. Hit you with some diet truths. I love it. Yeah. Hey, Becky. And we really got to have some good knowledge behind what we're believing and what we're putting into action. And so I just wanted to talk about some of that today. Many of you guys, if you know me or if you follow me on my actual personal Facebook page, or even this kind of athlete page, you'll know that I am a huge fan of real food, and depending on what season of my life it's in, lots of it. So honestly, that's one of the first things I want to talk about. Everybody says if I want to lose weight, I'm going to eat less, and that is not true. Right? Well, it's true and not true at the same time. I'll explain that. So everybody has what's called your basal metabolic rate. That's how many calories you burn every single day without doing anything. You need it for your body. In very simple layman's terms, you need it for your body to function. You need it for your lungs to work and your heart to beat, and all of the body processes and systems to be taking place. And that includes fat loss, you guys. And so a lot of people will say, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to cut calories, which is good, because you need to be in a little bit of a calorie deficit in order to see the scale move, right? But you don't want to go below your BMR. You absolutely won't lose weight if you go below your BMR, and your body won't function properly. My example all the time is like, if, here I work at the gym, and if I were to take the back room of the gym, the weight room, and say, well, I only have X amount of dollars this month for heat and light, so what I'm going to do is just close that section off, right? That's what happens when you don't meet your BMR. When you don't meet that basal metabolic rate as far as calorie intake, you basically are closing down some body processes, which in layman's terms, that's your metabolism, right? So we get foggy brained, fat loss stalls, all these things that should be working properly start to slow down to conserve energy because you're not getting enough calories, if that makes sense. So while you do need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, you have to eat at least a certain amount. I'm a huge fan of foods. I would rather eat a whole bunch of healthy foods throughout the day than I would, have a big crazy sugary breakfast and kind of, not have to, because nobody has to, but eat less throughout the rest of the day. I would just like to do that. So it's not always eat less. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it's eat more. If your BMR is 1300, you're going to be probably eating 200, 300, 400 calories over that, and you'll still be in a deficit. So if you're a member of a gym, or you have a friend who's a personal trainer, we can help you figure that out. Reach out. The other one is fats and sugars, right? I just watched a really great documentary called Sugar Coated, and it talked all about the sugar industry and what's going on with it, and how they're in cahoots with the government and the FDA and all of these people, right? And how sugar really is doing a lot. Yeah, love it. Burn the fat, feed the muscles. That's a great book. Jimmy Dalton is a former coworker of mine, runs a gym in Plymouth. Super fantastic. Yeah, so you want to burn the fat, feed your body, feed your muscles. And so sugar can be the enemy more than we think. Number one, it's because sugar is hidden in everything. So I'm not necessarily, thinking of the people who are eating healthy, really focused on doing the right things. I'm not saying you guys are eating donuts or sugary cereals or whatever, but sugar is in everything. It's hidden in everything. They want it in everything because actually it makes us sick and they want to keep us sick. I don't need to get into conspiracy theory stuff. Hey, what's up, Pam? Love it. So, but sugar is what is causing people to gain weight. It's actually propelling the obesity epidemic. They say, oh, diabetes isn't caused by sugar. It's caused by obesity and a sedentary lifestyle. Well, I'm sorry. But if you have excess sugar, you're going to end up obese. So it's kind of like, it's, robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's all the same kind of thing. Hey, Amy, Lucas, she's so cute. I love it. And so everybody likes to blame fat, but fat is not at fault. Excess sugar will turn to fat. Excess sugar causes disease, all kinds of things. Even just inflammatory disease and problems are caused by sugar and can be exacerbated by sugar, including cancer. So fats, on the other hand, they get a bad rap, but fats are actually really, really good for us. So healthy fats, almonds, coconut oil, olive oil, avocados, things like that. Super fantastic. Salmon, ooh, so good. Those are the great kind of fats, right? We actually saw a spike in Alzheimer's disease from women who in like the 80s, early 90s were doing these low-fat diets. But fat is actually such an important nutrient for our body. Our brain is made up of DHA. And so they saw early onset Alzheimer's in these women who were doing low-fat diets. So we can see that it's not beneficial to cut that fat out. Healthy fat burns body fat. You want to keep your healthy fats high, bad fats low, and then really keep that sugar intake super moderate. We're supposed to be between, I think 9 and 12 teaspoons as Americans per day, and we're at 20 plus. So lots of excess sugars. Okay, you guys, not all carbs are created equal. Isn't that true? So I've been tracking some food on MyFitnessPal for a little while. I am cutting. So I did a bodybuilding bulk like 2 years ago, and then I fell off the wagon and just started eating like crap, just in all honesty, and maybe I'll do another live about that later, but and I was just eating just kind of whatever I wanted to, and I was kind of personally in a hard place, but honestly, in the last 2 weeks or so, tracking my calories, but more importantly, looking at where my macronutrients are on MyFitnessPal, which is my protein, carbs, and fat intake. Thanks to Allison Owens actually for encouraging me to do that. I can see that my carbohydrates are a little bit high, but when I look at what I eat during the day, it's oatmeal, fruit, lots of veggies. So I'm getting these carbohydrates from good natural sources. I'm not getting a lot of the carbohydrates from pizza, donut, chips, things like that. So not all carbs are created equal. Even your different rices. I got really on a kick of jasmine rice there for a while, but it's double the carbs of brown rice. So if I'm looking to lose a little bit of weight, maybe just trading out which carbohydrate I'm taking in. And so one of the other things too is about those carbohydrates is there are slow digesting carbohydrates that you really want to focus on. This glare in my glasses is like driving me nuts, so sorry. You want to focus on the slow digesting carbohydrates, the oatmeal, sweet potato, black beans, all of those good, healthy carbohydrates that are going to fuel your body, keep you full, give you the energy you need throughout your day so you don't have that carb brain where you're like, 50 grams of carbs and under and like all foggy and confused and with the right amount of carbs and the right kind of carbs, you're going to be able to, get through your workout, get through your day, be less mentally foggy, so you're going to be a little bit more clear, all of that. Calories actually do matter, you guys. That is the next one. Number 4. calories do matter. We want to think that they don't, but I touched on it a little bit in the very beginning where I was talking about eating less and how it's not necessarily eating less, but making sure that you have a calorie deficit, but that you're still over your BMR. So case in point being, you know, I mean, I love to work out and I work out probably 5 days a week. And I can gain weight and lose weight by keeping my activity level and my actual activities exactly the same and just changing my diet. If I eat, you know, for me personally, I think it's anywhere from 19 to 2100 calories I'm going to maintain. If I start to bring that down towards 1600, I'm going to lose a little bit. 1600 is still a very healthy place to be. It is a place where I am losing body fat and cutting versus maintaining. And so it all depends on where you want to be. But like I said before, you want to find out your BMR. But calories absolutely do matter. It's kind of the idea that you can't out-train a bad diet, you know? So a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to go eat X, Y, or Z, whatever I want to, and I'll just run it off. Well, it doesn't really work that way. I mean, you're going to burn the calories when you run and you're going to eat this certain thing, which is fine. I don't think we should deprive ourselves. I think we can make space for the delicious foods that we love. I haven't done it in a little while, but for a long time there, once a week I was doing a treat meal. I was having one meal where I was like, I get to have whatever I want and it's like delicious. But I'm honestly really loving the food that I'm having right now as well. But there's no real trade-off between exercise and food in the sense that you're just transferring energy, right? So whether it's good, healthy food or food that is higher in refined sugars and carbohydrates and things like that, you're not going to really run it off or burn it off. So there's not really a trade there. You can't really out-train a bad diet. I've only got 2 left. I know I'm kind of going long here. Weight training. As you are looking to reduce calories a little bit, you want to make sure that you weight train. Now, I know I've said this before, but women, you're not going to get big and bulky. I promise you. We actually don't have the hormones in our body naturally to do that. So don't worry about, gaining tons of muscle and looking really big and bulky. What you want to really think about is the fact that when you gain even like 1 pound of muscle, that is active tissue, that's active metabolic tissue, so you're going to burn a little bit more calories with that pound of muscle than you are without it. The other thing is if you lose weight or you cut calories or you're in a calorie deficit without weight training, you're going to be losing a lot of muscle. We always lose a combination of muscle, fat, and water when we see that scale move or as we're losing weight or whatever it is. But when we lose that muscle, we're losing the capacity to burn calories. So we want to preserve as much of it as possible. This is why when people go on crash diets or they just slash calories and they're going to eat 700 to 800 calories a day. My God, my lunch is like 700 calories. Like, I'm like, people, don't do that. Because you're going to be losing your muscle too. And then they end up in the end, maybe even gaining back all that they've lost and then some. I'm sure we've all got somebody in our mind where we're like, yeah, they gained it back and then some. And the reason being is because they didn't do weight training while they were losing, and they did a crash diet or something like that with extremely low calories where they're going to be losing their muscle. And that muscle is an active metabolic tissue, right? So we want to have that in there. The other thing that I was really kind of getting on around like January of this year too is good versus bad. This is kind of a little bit more of kind of a mental thing. When we look at good foods, bad foods, Oreos are so bad for you. Pizza, cake, it's bad for you. Salad's good for you. Here's why I don't like that. Ready? This is just me because I was overweight. And I know what it's like to be at the gym and try to do push-ups when you can't do them and try to do the leg press when you've got a tummy and it gets in the way. And it's frustrating and it's uncomfortable. And I spent enough time in my life feeling bad about myself. And I spent enough time in my life feeling like I was bad because I was overweight. A couple things around that. Number one, if you eat a bad food, you're going to feel bad, then I'm bad. And that's not cool. We don't want to do that. Food is not good or bad. My dog is good or bad, right? Like my dog Rascal is like the naughtiest, craziest like dog in the world. He's a little bit better now, but when he was a puppy, it was just insane. He is good or bad, right? Cake is not good or bad. And so it can't obey or disobey or dig into the garbage or poop in the living room, right? It just doesn't, right? And it can't be mean to somebody or nice to somebody. Cake just is cake. It is either nutritionally void or nutritionally dense. That's all it is. So when I say I had cake, I did so bad I had cake, that makes me a bad person. So I don't want to say I did good, I did bad. I think it's okay. I've got some gals in one of my accountability groups that are rating their day. I think that's pretty good. I think I like that idea. Just based on your choices, saying, hey, I did pretty good today. I made some good choices. Or I made some choices that totally went away from what I was aiming for. Foods either bring us closer to or farther away from our goals, as do our choices. Closer to our goals, farther away from our goals. If I want to get to Florida and I choose to drive north, I am getting farther away from my goal, right? So we need to look at foods in that way. They're nutritionally dense or they're nutritionally void. I don't want to say they're good or bad. That's just me personally because I've spent enough time with that. Now, the other thing around that is when we think about the size of our bodies, and I was telling some girls this morning, the size of our bodies or, the food that we're taking in, which ends up maybe on our thighs or something like that. Everything is energy transfer. Think of it that way, right? I literally told this gal this morning as she's doing the battle ropes, I'm like, that is solar power right there because you ate delicious food that was grown by gathering nutrients from the sun and the soil, and you ate that, and now you're expending the energy on the battle ropes, and so you're like solar powered right now. And I like to think of it that way. If my body is taking up maybe more space than it did a year ago, I have more power at the gym to lift a little bit heavier, to go a little bit farther, to do a little bit more. I don't want to feel bad about what my body is right now, the shape of it, how much space is taking up, none of that. Like, I just want to say, look, if my thighs are a little bigger than last year, then I'm gonna frickin' squat a little bit more. Maybe a set more, maybe 20 pounds heavier. It's all energy transfer, right? Because you transfer that food that you ate that you think is stuck to your thighs into a heavier squat, and you're gonna see a little bit of muscle gain, and you're just transferring energy all around. So try to think of it that way. If that's not really a diet myth, that's just a little free advice from me today. So don't eat less, eat more, definitely eat over your BMR. Fats are your friend, sugar is the enemy, and watch out because the enemy is hidden in everything. Not all carbohydrates are created equal. You can't out-train a bad diet. You need to weight train to maintain that muscle as you lose. And then looking at good versus bad foods or nutrient dense versus nutrient void foods. So that is what I have today. I'm really excited to do more Facebook Lives here from this athlete page and kind of talk to you about what I'm doing and what you can do and just our journey together. So I love it. Have an awesome day, you guys. God bless and take care. I don't know how to stop it.